Have you ever dimmed your light or shrunk who you are to try and fit in, to try and make other people comfortable? There is a lie that so many of us have believed that if I stand out, I'll get kicked out. Meaning, if I'm too great, I somehow won't feel loved and I won't feel like I belong. I won't be accepted. And it has so many of us downplaying our strengths, hiding our wins and victories, especially girls and women, and just thinking if I stand out, I'll get kicked out. So I'm gonna play life small. I'm gonna call it being humble. I'm gonna call it being, like the right thing to do, when all it does is have you show up inauthentically, first of all, and it then gives that signal to other girls and women to shrink who they are too, right? Here's the thing, like so many of us learn this lie: if I stand out, I'll get kicked out. From the time we're little girls, we often learn to make decisions based on consensus. Like if I know what I want and I know what I want to say and how I feel, somehow that's not the acceptable thing to do. I've got to take a survey of all my friends around me, see how we all feel together about if we like this thing or don't like this thing. And then that turns into us as adults not trusting ourselves, right? Feeling like, okay, I need to take a poll on how I feel. I need to see how all my friends feel about this thing, if I should stay in this relationship, if I should, wear this dress, if I should, all the things. And then we start learning, but when you have a gift and a strong, passionate feeling and an idea and a thought and a dress you love, you don't want to stand out if no one else loves it. You might get kicked out. Or if you have huge talents, maybe you had a huge victory, or, whatever it might be, we learn if we stand out, we get kicked out, and it's a lie. It leads us to feeling like we are diminishing who we are to fit in. So we play life small, we shrink, we try to do things that make other people more comfortable. We downplay our talents and our gifts and our strengths. And then it looks like all the studies coming out, right? You look at some of the studies in the workplace where men are promoted on potential, women are only promoted based on past performance, right? We feel like we have to do things perfectly and accomplish it all perfectly for us to be enough. And then when we're really, really great, we dial it back because we don't want to make anyone else feel uncomfortable. And then here's the thing, y'all. Because we don't let others see our light shine, because we often don't even acknowledge our light shining, we somehow doubt it's that bright. Even in our soul, we know it is. We then arriving to this place one day in life where we all of a sudden feel invisible and like we're fully unseen and like we don't even see ourselves. Learning to embrace who you are, your strengths, your abilities, your big, bold, wild, amazing ideas, your talents, your gifts, your quirkiness, your style, all of it, even if it stands out. Learning to share it and express it as all of who you are is one of the most powerful things you can do. Because every time you show up in this world as who you authentically are, you are telling yourself you are worthy and enough just as you are. Every time you dim your light, you shrink who you are, you show up inauthentically, you are telling yourself you are unworthy of being all of who you are. This is huge because it impacts your self-worth, and your self-worth is the foundation to everything. Like in life, I say this all the time, we don't rise to what we believe is possible in our life, in our relationships, in our goals, in our dreams, in our ambitions, in our friendships. We don't rise to what we believe is possible. We fall to what we believe we're worthy of. So in the book Worthy, I go deep into all of the lies that we need to unlearn, the lies that lead to self-doubt that we need to unlearn. And one of those is, if I stand out, I'll get kicked out. And it's how to unlearn the lie and actually build enough self-worth to step into who you truly are, say what you truly mean, and how you truly feel. And I just want to wrap up this video by saying that for you, if self-worth is something that, if you're always feeling like you're just not quite enough, That is a self-worth thing. You can build confidence, self-confidence all day long. That is how you see your skills and abilities as a person. But your self-worth is different. It's what you believe your value as a person is. And you can build all the confidence in the world and still never feel enough. Building self-worth is so critical. So that's why I wrote Worthy. And I just want to say that today I hope you take one step to stand out, to put your idea out there, to say what you really mean, to say how you really feel. If you know the answer, shout it out. If you want to wear the dress, wear the dress. If you want to crack the joke, even if no one else thinks it's funny but you, be fully funny you. Like all of it, right? Let your light shine so bright, and don't be worried it's going to get you kicked out because you stand out. Like when you let your light shine so bright, you are giving another person permission and an example of how they are worthy of letting their light shine fully. I want to read a quote, a famous quote from Marianne Williamson that I have in Worthy as well, that I think is so powerful today. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It's our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that was within us. It's not just within some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Marianne Williamson. Today, let your light shine. You're not crazy, you're just first. All right, I want you to hear me out on this because this is a life-changing concept and it's also true. So you might be thinking, what do you mean I'm first? I'm not the first to do anything. My ideas, someone's already done them, that kind of thing. I bet someone's done them better than I have. All right, I want you to just take this in for a minute, because when you embrace your firstness, it not only helps build really strong self-worth, but it can change how bravely you show up in the world as who you truly are. It can change your perspective on whether or not you feel like you belong or not, whether or not you feel like people get you. Literally, it can help you realize that the things that you thought maybe were odd or quirky or off about you are actually almost always the things that are most right with you. So this idea, you're not crazy, you're just first. So hear me out. And I go into this really deep into how to embrace this fully in Worthy. There's a whole chapter and a poem called You're Not Crazy, You're Just First. Here's the thing. There is only one of you in the entire universe. There's never been another you before. There'll never be another you again. And if you're saying, well, what's the big deal? Just think about this for a minute. You are the only one in existence with your fingerprints, right? You're the only one in existence with your tongue print. Yep, we all have a unique tongue print. You're the only one in existence with the iris of your eyes. You actually have a unique heartbeat that no one else in the world has, right? And think about this. You're the only one that has the set of experiences you've had in life. You're the only one to feel the emotions that you feel at any moment exactly the way you feel them. You're the only one that sees art and beauty and ups and downs and highs and lows the way that you do. You, if you are one of the brave ones willing to actually show up in this world as who you authentically are, you're first. If you're one of the, now if you show up as your representative or try to be like someone else, etc., but if you're one of the brave ones, showing up as who you fully, authentically are, you are first. And when you are first, Do not be surprised if not everyone gets it. Don't be surprised if you might walk into a few rooms and feel like you don't quite belong. Don't be surprised if you feel like someone just doesn't get you or you don't fit in. You're first. There's never been another you before. And there's never been, there never will be another you like you. This concept is huge because so many of us feel like, oh, I've got to change who I am to fit in. Or, people have been calling me odd or quirky or off or different or strange, right? Or crazy. You're not crazy. You're just first. You're just first. And here's the thing, when it comes to your ideas, your goals, your dreams, your art that you want to put out there in the world, your business that you launched or that you are in the process of launching, right? Don't be surprised if not everyone gets it at first. Because if you are listen, I don't care how many people out there have done the idea before you. If you're doing it authentically to you, no one's ever done it, right? Like when I built It Cosmetics, there was thousands of makeup companies doing thousands of foundations and concealers, but no one had done it the way I was going to do it, authentically to me. So by definition, that excuse of like, oh, someone's done my idea or something, it's impossible if you bring who you authentically are to that idea, to that business, to that piece of art, to that expression, to that offering to the world. You're first. No one else has done it quite like you. So when it comes to your business or your ideas or your art, if you're putting it out there and you feel like it's not getting traction or you're not sure why, or maybe you're showing it to like experts and touted visionaries and you're wondering why they don't think it's going to succeed, here's why. I'll tell you why. Because when I built It Cosmetics, I was doing it so differently. Almost everybody told me it's not going to work. Like so many of the experts I put on pedestals said it's not going to work. And listen, they wanted the best for me. But even touted visionaries, even experts, subconsciously, they're not going to believe something's going to work if they've never seen it work before. If there's no social proof it's going to work. So if you're doing something that is authentic to you, they've never seen it work before because it's never been done. So it is, if I had learned this lesson, by the way, y'all, I would have saved myself so many nights crying myself to sleep. Like thinking like, why does everyone not think this idea is going to work, right? Many of us know the outcome. 8 years later, 100 weeks later, It Cosmetics grew to $1 billion business. But for many years, because I was doing it authentic to me, it wasn't working in the beginning. People didn't quite get it in the beginning. And a lot of experts said it would never, ever work. And so I want you to really take this to heart, okay? That when you are doing something authentic to who you are, it has never been done before. It has never been done before. And so you got to get really, really good at cheering yourself on, at believing in the offering you're putting out there into the world, whether it's in the form of just showing up as who you are and all that you are, whether it's in the form of a business or creation or ideas or art. You have to get really, really good at cheering yourself on, because what I have learned is most people will cheer you on after you make it. After the thing catches on, after people start embracing it. So in that journey, I want you to remember this. If you're doing something that you feel like others are like, I don't get it, doesn't quite fit in, you don't quite belong, right? You're different or odd or strange or crazy. You're not crazy. You're just first. And I just want to share one more thing. And again, there's a whole chapter in Worthy called You're Not Crazy, You're Just First. And we go deep into how to really look at your identity and build your self-worth around this. Because for so many of us, feeling like we are not enough and don't belong can take root at an identity level. I remember growing up, I have 5 families, I was adopted, it's a whole story. But I remember so many of my loving, well-intentioned family members would say things to me like, you're so odd or strange or crazy. I would have these big ideas on how to impact the world or, solve global problems. And I didn't even know what I was talking about at that point in my life, but I just had these big, dreams and ideas and thoughts. And they would literally, so many of them would always say like, you're crazy. Like, who do you think you are? Like, you're crazy, all that. And I remember there was this moment in my life when in my 20s, I had gone to therapy for the first time ever. And I literally asked my therapist, I'm like, I feel like, I don't fit in, and sometimes I don't belong in the room, and this and that, and I have these ideas, and she explained to me that when you are somebody who, especially is the first in your family, or first in your peer group, or first amongst the people you spend time around, or first amongst the people you were raised around, to have, to think differently, to actually be willing to show up as who you authentically are, like, don't be surprised if you don't feel like you fit in because you're first. You're the first to truly, have the confidence and the self-worth to show up as all of who you are. And I just remember this moment that hit me like a light bulb, so powerful. The light bulb burst when I realized, oh, I'm not crazy. I'm just first. So I just want to share this with you today in case these words are for you. You're not crazy. You're just first. You're not odd. You're just first. There's nothing wrong with you. In fact, the things you think are most odd or quirky or wrong with you are actually so often the things that are most right with you. The things that are most right with you. And when you're one of the brave ones who is willing to show up in this world as who you authentically are, you are first. So be the first, best, most quirky, odd, fully embracing, talented, gifted, like full expression, best ever, only you who are first.
How do I know the difference between something I'm afraid to do and the fear is real?
Yeah.
And here's what I have to say to you. 9 times out of 10, I am afraid to do the thing that I know is right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the fear is real.
Yeah.
And that's why you have to get still.
Yes, exactly.
Now, there's another lie. So this is kind of the third lie that you really had to dismantle, which is your weight determines your worth.
Whew. Yes. For every person listening, Mel Robbins, most of my entire life, I believed my weight determined my worth.
What does that mean?
Right now, 89% of girls and women will opt out of meaningful activities, including interaction with friends and loved ones, when they do not like how they look. We miss out on our lives when we are waiting on our weight. And by the way, for some people, it's not literal weight. It's the weight of other people's expectations that they need to stop waiting on. The weight of their own expectations, right? What are you waiting on right now in your life? And how are you letting that determine your worth before you live your best life? So this was a lie that took me most of my entire life so far to unlearn. And I created a business that was so about celebrating every person, for their authentic beauty. I was able to overcome so many lies that lead to self-doubt in my life. I was able to build self-worth around believing I was worthy of having a CEO title, right? Of running a business, of building a team of over 1,000, all those things. But I still struggle with the lie that my weight determined my worth. And it wasn't until my daughter's 1-year birthday, we're at this hotel and I'm about to opt out of swimming again because I don't want to wear the swimsuit. I want to sit in the on the chair on the side of the pool, all covered up, and miss out on this moment in her life. When I realized what has waiting on my weight already cost me in my life. And the answer, way too much. Memories, experiences, joy, like all of it. Because as humans, as you know, we're wired to avoid pain at all costs. And I had been thinking, oh, if I go out there in my swimsuit, I'll be judged. I'll be this, I'll be that. I was associating pain with that. In that moment, I flipped the script and I associated more pain with what I had missed out on, with the pain of regret, with the pain of what has waiting on my weight already cost me. And that is how I flipped the lie around. And I decided no more. And I literally took my cover up off. I shook my cellulite with joy and I got right in that pool. And I made it not about me anymore. I'm like, me hiding on the sidelines is what I'm doing is I'm telling my daughter she's not worthy of her body either. I am not, like that lie has got to stop now. The moment we step into our power, that is when we give other people permission to step into theirs, right? And now every time I will walk around in a swimsuit, all I think about is, I would never care what someone else looks like. People do not care what I look like. This is about like living life with no regret. This is about inspiring other people to embrace all of who they are and start considering what has waiting on your weight already cost you, right? And when we think of it that way, that is almost way more painful than the fear that we're making up in our heads about just living our best life as who we are, exactly as we are.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I don't have anything to add, so I'm going to go to lie number 4. So lie number 4, if I stand out, I'll get kicked out. What does that mean?
This is a big one because as women, we learn to downplay our strengths, to dim our light, to fit in. We often will bond over problems, right? We'll be self-deprecating. If we get a victory, we'll downplay it and give credit away to someone else. But if there's something wrong with us, like, you know, we'll tell everyone, oh, my house is a disaster, my kid is a hot mess. And we bond with each other over problems and we worry like, oh, wow, I crushed this, or I did, you know, this happened to me. We worry if we share that, then, you know, if we're great, we'll get hate. And
I actually struggle with this one.
Yeah.
There are very few people that I share my success with or my wins or the things that I'm really proud of that are going really, really well. Like I chronically downplay things. You're somebody that I'm the first person to text, the first person to be like, oh my God, Jamie, this thing, like big and small.
Yeah.
But this is definitely something that I struggle with, that I, and I grew up around someone who constantly was griping about other people who were wealthy or who had this or who had that or had the other thing. And I started to associate any kind of standing out as attracting disapproval, a lack of love.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly it, right? We think if I stand out, I'll get kicked out. I will no longer belong and be loved. And so we hide and dim our light. And thank you for just texting me when you have a victory, because I hope you sense I'm so freaking excited for you and so happy.
That's why I text you.
And, and real friends want the best in others. And it just takes every one of us together to start celebrating wins of other people, to start sharing our own wins. And I think one tip on that for everybody listening, if you're just hesitant to, unlearn that lie, and you're worried that people will think, oh, who does she think she is? Or she's arrogant, or all that crap, which is just their own unworthiness being reflected on you because they also believe that lie. Instead of thinking, oh, I'm going to share my win because of myself, just flip it and think, when I share my win, I'm living an example of freeing another woman to start sharing hers. And you make it about something bigger than yourself. And that is how you unlearn the lie, one step at a time, especially for people that feel like, oh, self-worth is selfish. It's not. It is not. The more you raise your own self-worth, the stronger you are an example for other people on how to believe they're enough too.
Awesome. How do you believe in yourself, especially in a moment like right now where the future's right in front of you and it is swirling with endings and with beginnings? That's always how I feel in the summer, right? Summer is supposed to be this awesome time where we relax, we dial it down. If you're lucky and you can get to the beach, that's fantastic, or a pool. But when I'm at the beach, you know what I'm thinking about? My freaking future and the endings and the beginnings. And today, I want to throw how you believe in yourself in the middle of all these endings and beginnings. And how do you believe in yourself when you haven't even started taking the actions? How do you believe in yourself when you don't know how this thing is going to turn out that you really want to do? Well, my guest today, she's a super close friend of mine. And she is somebody you want to hear from right now. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about none other than Jamie Kern Lima. She's the founder of It Cosmetics, which she started in her living room, and she sold it to L'Oreal for $1 billion. And here's the thing that I love about Jamie. Jamie is the queen of learning how to believe in yourself. Because when she started It Cosmetics, she was not some influencer with daddy's money. No, 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 no. She didn't get a degree in how to start a company. She was a waitress at Denny's with terrible skin rosacea, like the bright pink kind of breakouts all over her cheeks. And it was that rosacea and that hardworking work ethic from being a Denny's waitress that made her create her own foundation. And that was the beginning of this billion-dollar company that she created in her living room, It Cosmetics. And I know you're going to love hearing from her, which is why I am so excited that you're here to talk to us about your journey. You are one of my favorite human beings of all time. I cannot thank you enough, Jamie, for being here as my friend and for being here as the professor on the topic of purpose and learning how to believe in yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big, warm Mel Robbins podcast welcome to Jamie Kern Lima.
Mel, thank you. Thank you for having me. This is going to be fun and real and raw, and I can't wait. And I hope it just adds so much value to everyone listening. So I'm grateful to be here. Thank you.
There's no question, because you have those friends in your life that you don't see very often. Mm. But every time you do, it's like no time has disappeared, and you just have this like kind of twinkle on your skin because you just love being with this person. I love you so much, Jamie. I'm actually mad at you that you live so far away from me. So maybe we should just start right there.
I love you. Thank you. I feel the very same way. And one of the things I want to share, I know we're going to dive in deep on purpose. By the way, I love Purpose Professor. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Because it's one of our biggest life questions. How do I find my purpose? But I just want to say, Mel, something really important to me that I didn't want to leave here without saying. You can edit this out if you don't like it, but everybody listening needs to know this. You are one of the rare human beings that is the same off air, behind the scenes, in your everyday life as you are in all the public things. You know what I mean? And you and I have both met so many celebrities and so many people with millions and millions of followers, and it's very rare they're the same. And one of the things I love so much about you is you are even more funny, even more intelligent and brilliant and kind and raw and real in real life. So that congruency is like 1 in a billion. And I love you. And I'm just grateful to be here for you.
Wow. Okay.
Just that.
I think the episode's over now. No, we got to go back in time because, I think one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on is because the entire mission of this show is to empower and inspire you listening to us right now to create a better life, whatever that means for you. To take the simple steps that sometimes feel impossible to pursue your dreams, to improve your health, to create greater connections, to believe in yourself. And Jamie truly is not only the professor of purpose, but her life story is a demonstration in cultivating belief. Belief in your ideas, belief in your intuition, belief in God, belief that things will turn out. And so I want to go back in time because, I've heard you on the stages that you speak around the world talk about how you started as a waitress in Denny's. Mm-hmm. And then from waitressing at Denny's, pursued a dream that you had of being on television. Mm-hmm. And as a fellow former waitress, I would love to start there.
Yeah, waitress at Denny's, full uniform, name tag to prove it.
Oh, I forgot they had uniforms.
Full uniform.
What was your favorite thing on the menu?
Oh, gosh, I love the pancakes. You know what? Just like simple. It's so funny how our steps are ordered, I think, in life. And so often, I remember being a waitress at Denny's. I remember feeling, and maybe someone listening to us can relate to this right now. You have this feeling inside of you like there's something more I'm supposed to do, but you don't know what it is yet. And you doubt it might be possible. And I remember being waitress at Denny's and just feeling like I have these big dreams, but not quite knowing like, how do I believe I'm worthy of them yet? And it was this big season in my life. At the same time, Mel, the kitchen at the Denny's I worked at was a disaster. Like they would take an hour to get pancakes out.
Hmm.
So I learned to talk to people so that they wouldn't leave. They often did leave, or they'd throw like a dime and a penny on the table and leave.
As your tip, as if it's your fault
Yeah,
that the food were.
exactly. But it's so funny how, years later when I ended up launching my own business, I'm like, oh, I've got to get the operations right or nothing else matters. It's just those little things we learn along the way. But yeah, after that, I thought my whole life I would have a talk show. I watched Oprah in my living room growing up, so I thought for sure I would share other people's stories with the world. So I went into, did all the jobs, saved up all my money to pay for school, and push grocery carts in the grocery parking lot, sliced meat in the deli, all those fun jobs, and then found myself in what I thought was my dream job, working in TV news. And I thought, this is it, right? And what I didn't realize was I was about to enter this huge season of setback in my life, of self-doubt. I have a skin condition called rosacea. And for me, it started getting really red, really bumpy. And I would be anchoring the news live, thinking like, okay, this is it. And I started hearing in my earpiece from my producer, there's something on your face. There's something on your face. You
Oh
need
my
to wipe it
God.
off. And I was live on television, right? And I would glance down during the commercial break and I saw, oh, the makeup is breaking up on my face and these big red bumps are coming through. And it started this season that felt like setback. But so often in life, the seasons that feel like setbacks are actually setups for what we're called to do.
Okay, stop right there. Did you hear that? The seasons of your life that are setbacks are often setups for what you're called to do. I want to just make sure everybody heard that. And I want to take a highlighter and also highlight something that you said about being a waitress at Denny's. And it's this. You said our steps are ordered.
Mhm.
So can you explain what that means, particularly to somebody who's listening,
Yeah.
who may feel like, I know I'm meant for something greater.
Yes.
Why the hell am I at this step? And this does not feel like it is like on the path of where I'm supposed to go. So what do you mean by the fact that our steps are ordered?
Yeah. I believe, everything in life
Yep.
is happening for us, even when it doesn't make sense.
Ugh. Can we just, what do you mean happening for us?
I
So to
think-
somebody that's like really in it, Jamie,
Yes.
what does that mean?
Let me frame it around our topic of purpose, right?
Okay.
So often people feel empty because they feel like, oh, my purpose needs to be some job. It needs to be my job, or it needs to be this grand thing I haven't figured out yet. But for those of us that have accomplished a goal we always dreamed of, we get to it and we're like, oh, this isn't it, right? It's never, in my opinion, purpose is never this big goal necessarily. Purpose is so often when we're able to serve the person we once were, or serve in a way for something we've gone through. And here's what I mean. I think our purpose can be like, oh, wow, I went through a really freaking hard season in my life. And I now am actually realizing I'm born to be a generational cycle breaker in my family.
Mm-hmm.
That is an incredible purpose, right? Purpose can be like, oh, I've been having a hard season for a long time. And when I actually just take a minute and say hi to someone else who's lonely, maybe it's like in the coffee line at Starbucks, maybe it's the neighbor down the street, whatever it is, you feel in your gut a sense of fulfillment, like a sense of alignment when you're doing something in your purpose. And I think that the big mistake people make is they think it's this end goal, right? A lot of times when people hear my story and they hear the, oh, Denny's waitress builds $1 billion company, they think my purpose was to be some big entrepreneur.
It wasn't?
It wasn't.
What was it?
In the journey of how I did it,
Yeah.
I took this massive risk, right? Taking my makeup off on national television when I was told not to, and being brave enough to be seen and helping other women realize that they're worthy and enough exactly as they are, seeing them as who they are. To me, that is my purpose. And in doing that, it just, a byproduct of that with It Cosmetics is we built a company with millions and millions and millions and millions of customers. And what's wild is 5% of our customers actually have skin issues, like I do. 95% don't. It's just that they felt seen and connected with something that spoke to their soul, right? For me, being willing to say, here I am exactly as I am, no makeup, and, all my skin issues. I think people connected with that feeling of, oh, I'm enough exactly as I am.
You know what else I think is a really important part of your story? It is waitressing.
Yeah.
It's pushing carts in a supermarket.
Yeah.
It's working in the back house of a restaurant. That's
Yes.
my story too. Helping my best friend on her paper route, bussing tables. And I think when you work in retail or you work in a service job
Yeah.
and you feel at times invisible, you start to realize how important it is to treat everybody with respect and kindness.
Yes.
That there is no work that is beneath you. And when you can bring that level of service to the job that you have right now, even if you hate it, even if people treat you like garbage, even if the back of the house is not getting those pancakes out on time and
Yes.
people are angry, if you can bring a sense of grace and service and just humility to those roles, I think it changes how you show up when things start working out, because you don't ever forget what it's like to be treated like shit
Yes.
because somebody was mad that their pancakes weren't out on time.
Yes. Yes. And also, you and I have had this experience where we've truly gotten to see and be almost every type of person in every
Yeah.
type of environment. And so now it's like, whether it's me building a business or you building one of the top shows in the world, one of the top shows in the world, I feel part of that was like, oh, we understand who's listening and watching you right
Yes.
now. I
Yes.
understand who real people are who built, who bought my products. And
Yeah.
and so when you mention steps are ordered, it's like, no matter where you are in your life right now, what you're going through, I believe every piece of it, whether it's, oh, someone just, cut me off in a parking lot and screamed at me, or, oh, whatever it might be you're going through, all of those things are happening for you, I believe,
I love
so
that.
that you're amassing this toolbox of understanding and getting strong enough and equipped enough for the purpose you step into.
Amazing. So, Professor of Purpose, Jamie Kern Lima, right there. That's your takeaway number one. The steps are ordered. Believe in that.
Mm.
And this moment is helping you. It's giving you something. So that is one major tool that you used along the way. Let's go back to that moment, because I think you were 28 years old, right? When you're sitting on television in Seattle.
Yeah.
You are a local news anchor. You're living the dream. You're on your way. And you are now starting to have this nightmare happen.
Yes.
Where your rosacea is breaking through on camera in front of everybody,
Yeah.
the makeup that they put on you.
Yes.
And you've got people in your ear telling you there's something wrong with your face.
Yes.
And you're realizing, holy cow, the makeup that they've put on my face cannot cover the rosacea and the skin issues that I have. So
Yep.
what do you do in that moment?
Well, the first thing I did was start freaking out, right? And I literally, I started entering this season of self-doubt where I would be live on the air, anchoring the news, thinking thoughts in my head like, oh, am I going to get fired? Are viewers changing the channel right now? Like, am I costing the company ratings, right? So it was this
Could you
big-
feel those moments when you could feel like the makeup not kind of like disappearing? Like, there were moments when I used to be a commentator for CNN. I was pre-menopausal, where I could feel the hot flash coming.
Yeah. I didn't feel it until they said it in my ear and in my earpiece. And then what would start to happen was I would get so nervous and stressed out because I kept trying to cover it during commercial breaks. I could feel my heartbeat in my ears. So what I remember is like anchoring the news live, and sometimes you have to be happy, tell this happy story, or you're serious telling. And I just remember my heart beating in my ears, hoping people weren't changing the channel. And
Oh my God.
and it started this thing where I would spend it's funny. I was anchoring the news, and people think when you're doing that, you must have all this money, but you really don't get paid much at all. And I
No.
took my little paycheck that I had and started spending it on department store makeup, professional artistry makeup, drugstore makeup. I couldn't find anything that worked. And I had this idea one day, like, oh, if I can't find anything that works for me, there's probably a whole lot of other people out there that feel like makeup doesn't work for them. And it was sort of this idea where I was like, if I could figure out how to make something that worked for me, it helped a whole lot of people. And that was my knowing, or this gut feeling. But then my head, Mel, was like, oh, but you got no money, you got no connections, you know no one in the beauty industry, you're unqualified. So I sat in this place, right? And I just we're talking about purpose. I had this gut feeling like I was supposed to go for this thing, but then my head was like, oh, but here's all the reasons why you're not qualified to do it. Plus you're in your dream job, right? And I sat between those two. And it wasn't until I had this big aha moment of why I needed to do it that pushed me over the edge.
Okay, so what is the aha moment?
Yeah, so I realized one day, I'm like, this makes no sense. There are thousands of makeup companies out there. How does nothing work for me, right? Then I had this moment where I realized I've never seen a model with bright red bumpy skin saying, selling makeup. Like you always see these photoshopped, airbrushed models. And I realized, Mel, like, wow, my whole life, I've actually loved those beauty commercials, and I love seeing the magazines, and I always aspired to look like them. But deep down inside, they always made me feel like I wasn't enough. And I had this moment. I was literally on the news set when this happened, where I was like, wait a minute. What if it's not just about launching a makeup product? Like what if I could actually figure out how to do it, which I had no idea how, and I had no money. But it's like, what if I could actually launch a product that works for me? And what if I actually put real people as models, like every age, shape, size, skin tone, skin challenge? What if I use them as models, call them beautiful, and mean it for every little kid out there who's about to start doubting themselves, and every grown woman who still does? And that deep source of pain from how I was feeling not enough, and what could I do about it? That, in my opinion, is one of the strongest ways to find your purpose. It's what has just destroyed you or hurt you that you've maybe made it through.
Yeah.
And how can you now use that making it through to help someone who's going through it?
Okay. That's like a mic drop moment from our professor of purpose, Jamie Kern Lima. So again, I like to unpack these things to make sure this is a, I always say this is not just a listening podcast, it's a doing podcast. And I want to make sure nobody's left behind.
Yes.
And there was billions of dollars worth of wisdom that you just dropped. And so I want to try to unpack it for anybody that is listening to this and you have this sense that you're made for more.
Yes.
So one of the things that I heard is look in your life and see what problems or frustrations or things that you're struggling with that feel like a setback. And Jamie gave you the example of the rosacea on her skin and her inability to find something that actually could help her solve this issue of being able to cover it up so that she could do her dream job. And that setback is a setup for something new. And then get out of your own sort of selfish or self-loathing or the self-excuses and the self-pity, and remind yourself that there are 8 billion people on this planet now. There are other people that are dealing with this.
Yeah.
And that if you can figure out how to put your energy into making this better for yourself, and you bring other people into the fold with you, you now have something that's worth working on because it helps you and it's going to help other people. And I also want to point something out that Jamie will not tell you, but I sure as hell will. And that is that this was about 14 or 15 years ago. So we're talking 2007, 2008, correct?
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, Jamie Kern Lima is the reason why we have this real beauty movement. There always has to be the first person, and she was it. So when you look around the internet and social media and you see people doing naked faces, that was not something people did in 2007. It was all airbrush. It was all perfection. That was the beauty standard. There were no plus size or curvy models. That was not a thing back then. And so you've got a woman who is sitting in Seattle, who has no experience and no money, deciding that she is going to not only figure out how to create a makeup line for people who have issues with their skin, but that she's going to do something nobody has ever done, which is put real, normal people like you and me into her campaigns when she finally gets this figured out. And she's going to show people what her skin actually looks like in order to sell it. I mean, that was a revolutionary idea. She was the first. And I'm telling you this because you could be the first. You have something inside of you that is a problem, something that you can solve. And you could be the first to change the way that people think about an issue. And so, Jamie, let's pick up the story, because how do you go from this aha moment, like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, to doing something?
Yes.
Because I think some of us have aha moments, right?
Yep. And then we
But we don't do anything.
Yes, because we doubt him. We doubt him. We think like, oh, someone's already done it.
Yes.
Or, oh, whatever. First of all, if you're out there right now and you think, oh, you have an idea or a way you want to show up in the world or someone else you want to help, but you think, oh, someone's already done it. Literally, there's only one of you in the entire universe, which by definition means no one has ever done it the way you're going to do it. So when I launched this...
Say that again, Jamie, for the people that are like, whoa, kids, calm down. Wait, Jamie just said something. I was doing my dishes. Say that again. Talk about the fact that this matters.
This is huge, because I think the biggest reason we talk ourselves out of things is we think, oh, someone's already done it.
Yes.
Someone's already done it before, who must be smarter than me or more talented or more whatever it is than me. And what I have learned and then proven. And I want to tell you too about I'm going to get so excited, Mel, because when you do this thing, like, don't be shocked then when there's millions and millions of rejections and people don't get it, right? Because it's never been done before, right?
Oh, yes.
Because there's only one of you. There's only one of you doing it the way you're going to do it. But just to recap that, there is literally only one of you in the entire universe, right? And so if you are going to show up to this world authentic, that means whatever you do, if it's authentic to you, it's actually, by definition, it's never been done before, right? And so when you show up that way, don't be surprised if not everyone gets it right away. Or, in my case, all the experts I put on pedestals all said no, that this idea of how I wanted to connect with women, they thought it wouldn't work, and they thought I wouldn't therefore make them any money.
But can I ask you a question real quick? How did you go from the aha
Yes.
to starting? So what did that look like? Like, because I
Yeah.
think, like, if you're in this space where, let's just use an example. You've never actually, you don't know the first, you have this thing about catering that you just can't get it out of your head. You want to do these events, you've never actually done this because you had never
Yes.
done anything with makeup. You had no idea what you were doing.
Yep.
You have an idea and you have an aha moment.
Mm-hmm.
What was the first thing that you did to start to make this real?
So leaning on that, why I had to do it and why it felt like it was going to be part of my purpose was a big thing that helped me actually take the risk, quit my job.
Wait, you quit your job because you had an aha moment?
Yeah, it was deep. I was like, if I had
What did it feel like?
It felt like if I didn't do it, I would wake up the rest of my life with this pain in my gut, this longing, knowing I was created for more. It felt like if I didn't do it, I would have the pain of regret. And if I did do it, I might have the pain of failure and maybe the pain of embarrassment and then maybe the pain of, oh, wow, that doesn't feel like it went how I thought it was. I knew it was this big risk. I knew I was leaving what I thought was my dream job.
Why did you have to quit your job? Just curious.
It was literally from day one, I was all in. Like I dove all in. I knew if I was going to do this, I needed to just go all in on it. I started, I do not recommend this, but I started working like 100-hour weeks from the beginning. I was so freaking passionate about it. Like I couldn't stop thinking about what if I can actually figure this out? What if I can literally, because it became a big
So did you have
dream.
any savings? Like, do you have a little bit of
Very
savings?
little
Because you didn't
savings.
pay yourself for the first 3 years that you did this.
First 3 years. So basically, my husband and I wrote this business plan, right?
Yep.
Quit our jobs, dove all in our living room. We poured all of our savings into it. I thought, Mel, and this is for someone watching us right now, I know this. I thought if I can figure the product out, it's going to be huge.
Right.
And then I realized, like, oh, being an entrepreneur or launching a dream is not always that easy. We put every penny we had into it, and once we actually created a product, and we were scrappy. If you want
And
to know
how did you create a product? Like, are you in your
Yeah.
kitchen buying stuff at the grocery store, or how does this even work?
Okay, so first, I love that, technology is right there, right? So researching how are makeup formulations made, who makes them, what are the FDA regulatory compliance, all the unsexy stuff I know nothing about, just diving into the research phase of how does this happen. And then what I learned is that manufacturers are makeup companies' closest held secrets, right? Like closest held secrets. They won't disclose who they work with, but a lot of these big manufacturers work with all the top brands that you see or a handful of them.
Gotcha.
So I started.
So are you saying that all of the brands and top brands that you see are basically manufactured by a handful of companies?
Yes, handful of companies, and then some do it in-house as well.
Gotcha.
So what I did was scrappy. I walked into a Sephora. I wrote down the name of every single brand in there, went home. I had no money, right? Cold call every single brand and saying like, oh, I'm looking for a really great manufacturer. Could you let me know who you manufacture? And then they hang up on me. You know what I mean? One after another, after another, after another. And I got this really small brand in a totally different kind of positioning where the girl who answered said, oh, here's who we use. They're in New York City, blah, blah, blah. So that was my first manufacturer. Reached out to them, had a meeting in person, had no money, poured this idea out to them. They took a risk making me samples. And that's how it started, was just really being scrappy and trying to figure it out. All of our money had went into the product development formula and the advisory board of the product. And I thought, okay, now we have a product that works for me, right? This was after hundreds of formula iterations. I thought that was going to be it.
So is this like year 1 or year 2? Like, how long did this take?
Yeah, it took a good first year to get that product. And then what I started doing was sending it to everyone I thought was just going to believe in me instantly. So I sent it to Sephora and Ulta Beauty and all the department stores and all of the online retailers, QVC, which is, live television shopping channel. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be huge. Every single one of them said no, after no, after no, after no. And to your point, it became 3 years of not being able to pay myself, 3 years of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of no's, of crying myself to sleep at night.
Were you and your husband like fighting like crazy? Like, you should go back to work. But why do we do that? Like, were you like doing that?
You want to know what it was?
Yeah.
We still believed in it, but we weren't sure how we were going to make it. It was like friends and family that were like, wait, you quit your job? Are you sure you should have quit your job? Or wait, you still haven't made any money? Like, it's been 3 years, right? So you hear all of this, the voices get so loud.
Yeah.
The loudest, though, were my own self-doubt. Sometimes we take a chance and go for something because our gut is telling us to do it. And then all of a sudden you face all this opposition and you start to question, is my gut wrong? Is my knowing wrong? And there were so many times where I would literally get another brutal no from, Sephora or QVC or whoever it was. And I would just literally cry myself to sleep. I would pray about it and be like, God, I feel like I'm supposed to be doing this, but nothing is going right.
The foundation of your energy and the foundation of your drive and inspiration comes from somewhere. And I just want you, I know you've been on many stages and you've spoken all over the place, but where does that foundational energy come from that you carry with you?
I think, it's such a good question. I think that of all the things I've done wrong, which is a whole lot in my journey, especially in like going from working as a Denny's waitress to eventually, building a huge company and all those kind of things. One of the things I did right was figure out exactly your question, how to kind of like get still, tune in and hear that inner knowing. And I believe every one of us has it. I believe every one of us has it. And I think, for me, no one in my family went to college. I was raised kind of, very differently than kind of like this inkling I had deep down inside of the life I wanted. And I remember even in the days when I was working as a waitress at Denny's, right? And maybe so many people can relate to this who are listening. Like, I kind of knew deep down inside, like, okay, I'm created for more, in the sense of like, I have more to give and more to create. And more to serve and more to see. And I always kind of knew it. And I went through this really lifelong journey though of like knowing I was kind of created for more, but doubting it anyway. And kind of my whole life actually. And maybe a lot of people out there may be in the same spot. And it's kind of why I wrote the book, because I feel like, while it's my story of going from a girl who didn't believe in herself to like believing in herself and not trusting herself, to learning actually how to kind of like break through all the self-doubt and hear that inner voice and trust it. Go from doubting I'm enough to really on that journey of knowing I'm enough. And I just think it's my story. I feel like it's so many people's story out there, you know what I mean? Who are kind of in this space of maybe too, just like I've had while working in Denny's or any other moments in my life, this kind of feeling deep down inside of like, oh, I know there's more I have to do or give or serve. And maybe I'm in the wrong job right now, or maybe I'm in a tough season right now. But like, I know I'm created for more. And like, their biggest obstacle is, how do I stop doubting it? And how do I like step into all of who I am, right? And all of who you're called to be. And so that's kind of the whole journey in this book and all that. But yeah, and listen, I still have doubt enter the room. When Shanti enters the dressing room, there's a moment where I'm like, in 2 seconds in my head, like, oh, wait. Am I cool enough? Am I in good enough shape? Am I like all those things enter? I'm like, I turn down the volume on that self-doubt. I turn it up and I'm like, oh, I know I'm a beautiful soul and a human being. So for that reason, it's great me and Sean are meeting, right? It's like a life journey of figuring out how to believe we belong, how to believe we're enough. And not doing those things, I think, is like the biggest dream killer. It's the biggest thing that, like I still get tempted and Shanti enters the room. Oh, I'm going to shrink down and just like congratulate him on all his successes versus like show up authentically. And you know what I'm saying? And it's this lifelong journey. And like how I went from my living room with no money to $1 billion entrepreneur is figuring out how to get past all that crap we hear in our own heads, right?
Hey. I was going to say to you, you were on the living room floor with your laptop, with your partner, your husband, and you went from the living room floor not knowing really how you were going to build your bank account from the little money you had to selling your company for $1.2 billion. Now, I want people to know I'm not a person that chases a number. And I thought it was really amazing that you let the cat out of the bag first, because you really proved to people that it's not about the number. It's about the journey and everything that comes in between. And so, I saw that. I still get the chills knowing that you did that and you went from where you went to and you talked about love and you did all these things.
Your journey of like going from not believing in yourself to believing in yourself and believing you're enough, how was it a decision that you made, or was it really just this, process of basically your entire life up until then?
Yeah, it's been so many lessons along the way and so many setbacks that I later realized were setups. So many things I did wrong. And then really looking back at what were those things I did right? Looking back at when I made decisions where I listened to other people's opinions or the experts instead of actually listening to my own gut. oh, those were the things I did wrong. When I look back at what happened, right? And it's been building on all of these things. And so, in the book, I share so many stories, and it's wild because like literally 95% of the book is stuff I've never shared before, ever. And I had this realization that a really big realization that, because I get DMs on Instagram every single day from so many girls and women and people who say like, oh, wow, you started with nothing and built a $1 billion business from your living room. Like, did you just get lucky? Or was like, did someone give you a big break? Or like, did you, right? All those things. And I kind of had this realization, oh, when you just see the highlight reel or you just read the headlines, it makes it seem like, oh, maybe she just got lucky or she's, whatever. And it's like, you know what? I felt this strong calling on my heart that if I could pour everything I've learned into how you do that, like how did I do that into one book, that would be of service to other people, right? And so like, for example, I'm donating 100% of the proceeds, by the way, every penny from the book. I'm literally purely just doing it for exactly the question you just asked, which is to help every other person out there learn to believe that stepping into all of who they're born to be is possible, right? The thing when I look back on all of the lessons from going through years of hearing no, because I created a company called It Cosmetics in my living room where I started with an idea and close to no money. And I just thought once we created an amazing product that worked, I thought it would just do well, right? And then I started this journey of every beauty retailer saying no, every department store, every QVC, everybody saying, no, you're not the right fit. We don't think your positioning is right. We don't think you're right for the beauty industry, all those things. And when I look back and I went through 3 years of hearing no's from everybody and got down to under $1,000 in my bank account, which was our personal and business bank account, and didn't know how I was going to make it. And when I look back on all of the journey, like there's so many lessons I learned along the way, but one of the biggest ones and really a huge through line in this whole book is that like, yeah, I worked really, really hard and I didn't give up. And not giving up every time you get knocked down, every time you get a setback, that's so important because at the end of the day, a lot of people never realize their dreams because they actually just quit or they give up or they let their own self-doubt talk them out of it. So I didn't give up and I worked really, really hard, but like how I actually built a $1 billion business from my living room was like the most important thing I did when I look back at everything was like, I made the decision to believe that I could. And when I try to dissect how did I do that, that's really why I wrote this book is sharing every single lesson on how do you actually truly peel back the layers on your why, not just do a why, because that's the other thing too. A lot of people, when they might keep a goal journal or they might write out their goals, and then a lot of people will go another step, right? And they'll talk about their why, like I'm doing this for, because I want to one day buy a house, or I want to, all these things, or do something for my kids, or pay for their college, or pay off my student loans, whatever it is. And what I've seen over the years is that those whys, they sound really good. And when you tell them to other people, they like sound great. But if it's not deep, 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 deep to your core, you're going to quit. It's not going to be strong enough for you to keep going when you face all these setbacks. And so one of the things I talk about in the book was like, because I've done a ton of things wrong. And I share those too. I've never shared this stuff before. I'm actually freaking out, to be honest, but I just know it's not about me. It's going to be of service to so many people to know they're not alone in their setbacks and in their hard times and in how to handle them. But in the book, I talk about like, I did a ton of things wrong, but one of the things I did right was early on in my journey, I knew, okay, I'm creating makeup products. And of course, I want them to work for me and my rosacea because nothing else will. And of course, I want to help other people. And those are great whys, but they weren't deep enough. And what I realized is in my whole childhood, all growing up, I only saw images of beauty in magazines and on TV commercials. and they were never real, right? They're always overly photoshopped. And I never saw anyone that looked like me or had any skin challenges and I realized in the development of this company, while I was trying to create a product that actually worked, and when I realized why didn't any other product work, and then I realized, oh, wait, I don't even know if the models are actually wearing the product they're advertising, all those things. I realized, okay, not only do I want to create a company that has great products, but I want to start using models that are every age, every size, every skin tone, every skin challenge. And I want to authentically define them as beautiful and mean it and all those things. And I had this realization on the why beneath the why early on, that like for me, it was like, oh, I want to shift culture and beauty. And I want to do this for every little girl out there who's about to start doubting herself and every grown woman who still does. And that why was so deep for me because of my whole childhood realizing I'd see these images and I'd want to look like them. I'd aspire to look like them. And at the same time, they always made me feel like I wasn't enough. And so this deep why was so important. I talk about like how to do that in the book for yourself or whatever your dream is. Because some people out there, they're like, oh my gosh, I really just want to dance and I want to start painting again, or I want to launch a business, or I want to become a pastor, or I want to start a blog, right? Like we all have these things. And I feel like we end up, right? Because here's the big thing. This is the big thing that, and I love just sharing this process in the book too, but so many of us know we have this calling on our heart or this like, kind of inkling where we want to step out and do something, but like it's way more comfortable in our comfort zone. And I feel like when we stay in our comfort zone, it comes at the price of chipping away at our soul. That's the first thing. And when we have a gut feeling, an intuition, like we're made for more, like we have gifts or talents or ambitions to offer the world, one hard part I've seen and experienced personally too is sometimes the people around us, even when they're great people, whether they're family or friends or whatever, and they love us dearly, they don't have that same inkling. like they don't get it. They're super happy in their comfort zone. And what happens to so many people is we have the volume turned up on listening to everyone around us. And then we have the self-doubt in our heads of, oh, well, maybe I'm not qualified, or maybe I don't have what it takes, or maybe I don't, other people are way more advanced artists than I am, or other, whatever, that inner critic. So we start to turn up the volume on our own self-doubt. We start to listen to all the opinions of everyone else around us. And before we know it, we talk ourselves out of our own truth. And this happens to so many people. And in the book, Believe It, like a big part of why I did it too is like, I talk about the journey of how to love the circle around you, but how to turn down the volume on the stuff that's not for you. And that goes against the calling of who you are and who you're created to be. And how do you add other people around you and turn the volume up on them? And even more than that is the self-doubt and everything that we all experience in our own heads, right? And I just feel like that self-doubt sometimes in our own heads is a bigger opposition against us than the people out there rejecting us or saying no, or saying you're not the right fit for us, or whatever it might be, right? And so this book talks so much. I share so much about how to break through that noise of self-doubt, and learn to actually hear your own intuition and learn to trust yourself, right? Because so many people don't even know how to tune in and listen to their own intuition. Maybe they haven't even heard it ever or in a long time, because everything around us is so much noise, from other people's opinions to people not believing in us and us getting no's and rejected, to then the self-doubt in our own head. It's a lot. And I think the journey of learning how to go from not trusting yourself to truly trusting yourself is huge. And it's so many people, it's their journey they're on right now as well. So this book is definitely for them.
It's crazy what you're talking about right now. Even just, loving the people around you, but maybe like turning down some voices or working through self-doubt. I was actually talking to my pastor this morning, and we were just having this conversation, and she was just saying, a lot of us have very unique calls on our life. Like a lot more of us have those than realize. They either just don't realize them, or they don't have, the courage or the faith to kind of walk that out. And we were talking, and I was like, it's not my job to get these people to understand me. Like, it's my job to follow what I feel as though like God has put on my heart, or what I feel as though is like inside of me. And that's something that I feel like has been a constant battle, not even necessarily with other people, but even with myself sometimes, because something specifically that I'm even trying to work on now is believing like the best is yet to come, and like being one of those people who believes like, oh, I am so excited for the future. I know what God has for me. I know it's going to be even better than what I've seen. And maybe it's just the year that we've been in, or a lot of other life circumstances, but that's something that I'm working on for myself. And it's not about like being this positive person necessarily, but it's a deep core belief, not only in myself, but that there is so much good to come. And obviously we're promised trials, like that stuff will always happen. But I feel like when you're in the middle, like we talk about when you are talking about the difference between the headlines versus the reality, I feel as though that's where I feel like I'm kind of at right now, and where so many people listening to this are. How do you like navigate the in between? And not that it ever necessarily stops, but when you feel like you're in the middle and you see more in your head than you see that's like in front of you.
Yeah. So, and I love that you talk so openly about your faith, right? And all of this, because for me, that has been like the espresso in my latte in life. You know what I mean? In such a big way. So a couple things. I think that, and I have known this, but sometimes we know something, and until we actually truly experience it and look back, then we're like, we go from like believing it to like being certain of it, right? And in my journey, the thing that I know for sure, I know this for sure, is that every setback we experience is God's way of setting us up. Every setback is a setup for all that is to come. And I believe that the things we go through, even periods like right now that you're describing of feeling like you're in the middle and you're trying so hard to anticipate and believe that the best is yet to come. Even this season, right, I believe is a setup for everything that is to come. And I believe that in all my heart. And when I look back at it, I have learned every setback and every hard season and every season that was just okay was a way of actually making me strong enough to be able to handle the weight of the big God-sized dreams when they come true. Because God-sized dreams and stepping into our calling and stepping into who we were created to be, especially those of us that know in our heart we're meant for more, we're meant to give more, serve more, create more, love more, inspire more, right? Be of service more. I believe when you're at service at the highest capacity, that it's not about you, it's about how has everything you've walked through and been through actually helping someone else believe it's possible to get through it, believe it's possible to step into all of who they are. And we can't do that unless we've gone through it all as well. And so I believe our setbacks are God's setups for everything that's to come. And it doesn't mean they're fun, and it doesn't mean they're easy. When I look back at going through like the 3 years of rejection, or I look back at, painful moments, right? There was a moment where, the story when we were a couple years into the business, I didn't know how we were going to make it. And we had a really big investor interested in our company. And I thought like, oh my gosh, he's going to change my life, because he had invested in all these consumer product companies that we all buy at the grocery store. And he'd his private equity company had invested in a lot of them when they're super small and made them huge brand names, household names. And I was like, oh my gosh. And we went through all these meetings, and at the very end, and I thought like, oh, if he invests in us, then we're not going to go bankrupt. And maybe he can help us get into all these stores like Sephora and Ulta and department stores who are all saying no to me. I thought it was the biggest, like most exciting thing ever. And at the end, we flew out for the final meeting, and he was standing 3 feet from me, and my husband was right next to me. And he said, we're going to, I wanted to share with you in person that we're so grateful for your time. We're excited for all you're building, but we're going to pass on investing in It Cosmetics. It's a no. And I remember saying, okay, can you give me some feedback? Like, can you share why? Because I always think feedback's a gift, usually. And he said, do you want me to be honest with you? And I said, yes, please. And he said, I just don't think women will buy makeup from someone who looks like you, with your body and your weight. And when he said my body and my weight, I remember this moment where I was looking at him, and it's almost like I was watching his lips move in slow motion as these words were coming out. And I felt my whole body flood with like this lifetime of body doubt and self-doubt. And it was this moment where it's like I was staring my own fear like straight in the eye, and I knew I had to keep my faith bigger than it. I also knew in that moment, deep down inside, I had this feeling, and this is why it's so important that we do the work of learning to listen to our gut and listen and learning to trust ourselves. Because in that moment, I had no proof around me that this company would ever grow or become successful. And then I have this person in front of me that I saw as a visionary. I saw as someone who truly created stellar brands. And he's telling me no one will buy makeup from someone who looks like me, my body and my weight. And I had this feeling deep down inside my gut in that moment that he's wrong. And I also knew if I was ever going to prove it, I would have to figure out how to believe that for myself. And the other thing is, in that moment, I didn't even get mad at him. Of course it hurt me, and I had to learn, we talk about volume. I had to learn how to turn down the volume on those words from being on the repeat button in my head over and over and over for years. But I also knew in that moment, like, he's passing on investing in my company because the sole reason I want to create this company, he's been impacted by the beauty industry his entire life. And he's learned, just like we all have been taught, you have to look a certain way to sell something, right? And so he was just, I don't want to say a victim, but like a byproduct of what he's seen his whole life on television and in magazines. So it fueled me. And this is part of why mindset is so important, and why not slipping into that like woe is me victim kind of mindset. It was like, oh no, you know what? This is a gift. This is a setback right now. It really sucks. God, I don't know how I'm going to pay the bills. I don't know how I'm going to keep the lights on. Like, I started going to the Costco. I don't know if you have a Costco by you, but the Costco outdoor food stand where you get the $1 hot dogs. Yep. I was like, okay, God, I'm doing that. And at least they taste good. And I was like, how am I going to keep this business alive? That setback was a setup, because it fueled me this deep, deep, deep why of like, oh, even this dude is like this dude in a business suit who has probably never bought a beauty product in his life is impacted the same way women are by the industry. And it fueled me. And so I believe, and really honestly, the reason I wrote this book, and like I'm literally donating 100% of the proceeds of the book. The reason I wrote this book is because I believe everything we've gone through, especially once we're through a lot of it, we learn like, oh wow, the next level of success is that it's not about us. Like, how can my story, your story, everyone who's listening's story actually be of service to other people when we actually have the courage to share it? And for me, that's where I get my greatest joy. And it's like the lessons and the stories in this book, if this can save other people from making a lot of the mistakes I made, and save them at least some nights of crying themselves to sleep at night, but more importantly, help them on their journey of like believing themselves, trusting themselves, like knowing they're enough, and just deciding it's possible to step in to who they were born to be. Like, that's
to me, that's everything. And so the season you're going through right now, okay, don't even get me started right now on your calling, because first of all, you are magic. And so many people listening right now will agree with me. And everything you're going through right now is, of course, part of your own journey. But we all have the blessing of being able to listen to you and then actually have it fill us up and have us, all of us together, feel less alone when we're going through the same things. Do you know what I mean? And so even if it's hard right now or uncertain right now, or so many people, I mean, this year has been packed with uncertainty, right? More than so many people have ever experienced. And I would never downplay how hard it's been on so many people ever. I would never wish it on people ever. What I know through so many, and this book is so many personal hardships too, right? From adoption, surprise, you're adopted in your 20s. I found out in my 20s, to rejection, to like all of these things personally, right? I just think that they're all part of our journey to make us strong enough to be able to carry the weight of our calling when we step into it.
Thank you. Something I love so much about you is how you are so willing to share and to open up. And it's almost like you're this open book and you're trying to give value, and you do give value to pretty much every single person who I'm sure like even comes across. I love so much about the story, which this is in the book, so we're not going to go too into it.
What did you learn in this process? Like if you had like two things that came to mind for these folks of like manifesting a huge visionary event, like what two things come to mind? Like, hey, I was able to manifest this because these two things. What do you think comes to mind?
Oh my gosh, Brendan. Well, it's wild to answer that because I don't know if I've processed it all. Do you know what I mean?
I know you haven't.
Yeah, it's like happening in real time. So you guys, right before Brendan and I just hopped on live, we're in the room, we're in a filming room right now, and with other people here, my publisher from Simon & Schuster was just on the phone, and we're processing everything happening live. But I think that, what I would say is just, it all, it starts with believing that it's possible, and being willing to put yourself out there. And we talked about this a little bit with just being willing to try something. I had no idea how this would go. It was my first ever live event that I've ever done.
Show up every day. Yeah. She showed up for her belief and her dream every day. And now she's, the #1 best new release on Amazon. So already a #1 bestseller, her first book. She pulled off her first event yesterday. 200,000 people watched. Yeah. So why can't you dream? Why can't you try something you've never done before? Why can't you say, you know what? I have this feeling in my heart, and that feeling in your heart has been sown there. She and I both believe in a creator. We believe in God, and there's some divine reason you've been gifted with all of those impulses you have, those dreams. They've been I always say they've been sown into your heart. And if they're there, follow them, work for them, ask for them, dream for them. And if you do it over and over and over for a decade, like she has she did IT Cosmetics, and then for the last 2 years. So yesterday was the culmination of 2 years.
Yeah.
And not just her, what's cool? It's not just her last 2 years. It's Dean's team mastering the model. It's Sage teams mastering the production. It's Tony building the studio. Like all these serendipitous things had to have happened across 4 or 5 teams and across 19 speakers. All these things happening in all of our lives all had to come together to one day. And it only happens because every one of them is moving their lives forward.
Yeah.
And so you want to be around the people. This is why we talk about Growth Day so much. You want to be around that spirit of people who are absolutely growing, moving towards their dreams. Even if we can talk about discouragement and we can have empathy and we can be like, life is hard and it's a struggle. We can honor the struggle and just keep moving things forward. Because think about if all those people hadn't been moving their lives forward in the last 2 years, the innovation required to pull off yesterday would not have happened.
Yeah.
Right? So it all came, it's what Paulo Coelho, one of my mentors and great friends, he wrote the book The Alchemist, best-selling, the most followed author in the world online, and the 5th best-selling book of all time, The Alchemist. Here's what he said in The Alchemist. He says, when you pursue your dream, all the world conspires to support it.
So good.
And so you think she put this book out there, she put this event out there, and all the world, the last 2 years, is conspiring. Isn't that beautiful?
It's so beautiful. So that just asks, that reminds me. So what is your dream right now? Like you're joining us live right now on the Growth Day Morning Show. What is something on your heart that if you just put it out there, if you put it out there more boldly, if you take that step, if you make that ask, if you ask someone to show up for help, how is the world then going to conspire, right? All the world conspires for you. And
you show up each day.
Yeah.
And you work with faith.
Yeah.
How many times was this event in your mind and this book launch in your mind a train wreck? In the last 4 weeks, how many times did you cry? Did you get overwhelmed? I don't want you all to see this beautiful makeup she puts on and this beautiful soul she is yesterday.
I've taken off on the morning show. I've taken my makeup off on the Growth Day Morning Show.
I just want you all to listen very closely. What you saw yesterday didn't feel that smooth in the manifesting of the dream.
Yeah, so good.
Right? The output. No one sees the hours and the tears and the frustration and the late night phone calls and texts, right? That we all do. She does, I do, like we commiserate together. And then when you show up though, it's game time. You show up, it's your Super Bowl, you're ready, you're going to deliver. Like yesterday, she just delivered for 14 hours. 14 hours. So I just want you to understand, it's okay that you look like a hot mess right now. It's okay that yesterday you cried because you felt so far away from the dream.
Yeah.
Do you show up every day with faith and work for that momentum, work for that growth, work for that contribution, that difference, that impact, that change in your life?
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's because for years, all these people were working with faith each day to move their lives forward, that then the serendipitous thing could happen. But pull one of them out. Pull. If I hadn't, like years ago, had to figure out the 7-day live launch, that is like the model we all use for challenges now. If Tony didn't pivot from live events in the pandemic, if Dean Graziosi didn't pivot from TV to online, if all the speakers hadn't at some point in their life pivoted from doing their one job to I want to share a message. If all that doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Yeah. This is one reason you have to, in some way, in my opinion, you got to believe in a God or a higher order or some grand design that's so beyond us, because that seems so magical. Yesterday was a 14-hour movie, and it was a movie of possibility. I hope you'll watch it. You can still sign up to go see the replay. Yeah. And if you go to believeit.com, is that right? Is that where she's at?
Go to believeit.com, becomingunstoppable.com in the Facebook group there. Yeah, the replays are up right now. They're going away. Yeah, and it was something that was so special. By the way, one thing Brendan just said too is like the messy part, right? I think that's so important, because I think all of us sometimes feel alone during that messy part, or like it's just us. There was so many messy parts, so many details, so much hard work, so many tears that went into yesterday's event, but also that went into the book launching today, my first ever book launching today. And, we're just like everyone else, even though the event was incredible. 214,000 people watched it.
Ladies and gentlemen, rock this house and welcome to the stage, Jamie Kern Lima! Jamie Kern Lima!
Every single one of us has had someone tell us we're not enough. Every single one of us has had someone say words to us that hurt.